The Denver Post announced this week that 20 members of its newsroom, including editorial page editor Vincent Carroll and longtime TV critic Joanne Ostrow, will leave the Denver Post in buyout packages. Political editor Chuck Plunkett will take over the editorial page as of July 2nd. Eric, we've lamented the shrinking Denver Post at this table for a long time, but this was I think a big moment, losing somebody like Vincent Carroll. And this was the first time I saw more coverage of the hedge fund owners of the Denver Post and really pointing to that problem, that the Post is making money, but the hedge fund owners doing something terrible with it. Will that have ramifications?
I don't know if it has ramifications. It's a one newspaper town. You flash back not all that many years ago, where you not only had two papers, you had two robust papers with strong and differing editorial voices. Now you have one paper, it's shrinking on a daily basis. The amount of local content it generates is shrinking. This one, when I heard the word on, I guess it was Wednesday, shortly before it was announced that Vincent Carroll was taking this buyout package, it was one of those comparable to when our former table mate Lynn Bartles took a previous buyout that sort of took your breath away or made you sit back. First of all, mega kudos to Vincent Carroll. At two newspapers in town, over many, many years and decades, he really established a name for himself, not only as a supremely intellectual guy, but just a decent guy. Somebody that, whether you agreed with him or disagreed with him, the door was open. He was always open to a rational, intelligent conversation. He will be missed. Chuck Plunkett will be very capable, but Vincent will be missed. Joanne Ostrow, and then there's a whole list of names. I won't read it. Westward had it online this morning, but you know, David Olinger has been one of the finer investigative reporters over there. Cyrus McCrimmon is a friend who's a very talented photographer. I'm not going to read the list, but there are 20-some names. These are both careers that have been cut short because the newspaper industry continues to hemorrhage. And secondly, it's content that us as news consumers will no longer have access to. It's talent gone by the wayside. I find it very sad.
Susan, at your website, coloradoindependent.com, I've been heartened to see some of the former stars in the Post, both yourself, Mike Litwin, Mike O'Keefe, among many more folks. Hopefully, will we see more of your former colleagues of the Post maybe joining other media outlets here in town?
Yes, I wish I could make a couple announcements, but it's a bit premature, but absolutely. Also, our phone is ringing off the hook, for sure. There's still such a need and such a hunger for journalism in this state. What happened at the Post was the very slow, gradual decimation of that newsroom to now at 1/3 of what it was at its peak. And what they've ousted, essentially, is institutional knowledge. So if you don't read the Post, and many people don't, you still, as a sort of member of our community, want to know that somebody is watching power, the halls of power in this state. And with every buyout and with every person leaving, and with every sort of new 20-something person, as talented as they may be, you're losing that institutional knowledge, and you're losing that sort of watchdog role that the media plays. What also has been lost there is joy. It's a joyless newsroom, and I know because I worked in it. And from the time that the Rocky went under until the time I left, when they were actually spiking my columns, which is, you know, pretty intense, that place became like, I've said this on the show before, a bank. It became like working in a bank. And when we saw those Denver Post journalists marching in front of that building, I think it was last week, against that hedge fund, and when I heard some of the people there are the most careful, you know, the people who are still there often are some of the least outspoken people, and that's why they are still there, let's be clear, okay? And when I heard some of them, and I won't name names, say things like, I had nothing to lose but get out in front of this building. That place has been gutted already, we have nothing to lose. People who will go back, I mean, when you asked Eric, will there be repercussions, I think you were asking, are those people going to get slammed by this hedge fund for speaking against the hedge fund? I wouldn't doubt that they will, but I think they feel like they have nothing to lose. And we, you know, as much as we compete against the Denver Post, it's really what my grandmother would call a shonda for all of us in Yiddish, that newspaper is shrinking so much.
Patty, we're running out of time, but what is your reaction to the recent buyouts at the Post?
Oh, well, it's just so sad. And here is what is scary about it, besides the fact that you've lost 2/3 of the newsroom. They did not get the number of people they wanted in this buyoff. So now we heard there was a lot of arm twisting over the last week for people get out now or you might lose your job. Now we could see layoffs too. So it's a sad day.